Welcome to Whips in the Dungeon. I'm Dex, and this is Bunny. Bunny's my clickbait. Now that you've clicked on this video, keep watching. If you like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. We don't get too many comments on this channel, but you're more than welcome to leave them. As a result, though, I answer almost every comment or comment on your comment. So what we've got this morning is awesome. It's the morning after an unboxing video. So what do we do the morning after an unboxing video? Well, first we show off the new whip. So this whip is by Giovanni Celeste in Italy. I do the morning after an unboxing because there's more natural light. It's kind of gray overcast day outside, but you're going to be able to see the whip a lot better than you did last night in my living room after dark because the lighting's just better. So let me bring this whip up close and let you see it. This whip has a 9-inch handle. The Turk's head's done in whiskey. You can see his fancy plating on the handle. He had what I call single diamond. Then he had a 4-pass, kind of a diamond. It's still a diamond pattern, but it's 4-pass. And then some single diamond work below that. And then what I call the pineapple knot or transition knot, again in whiskey. And I asked him just to keep this whip a single color. So here's the deal. When I pulled this last night, it's very smooth. I mean, it's really smooth. It feels like a perfect whip, okay? Which means he took the time to roll it, a long time to roll it, and spent a lot of care with it, okay? When I look closely at it though, you find that it's a short whip, so over this shorter run, 16 plat, whip makers tend to have drops so they can keep their taper. There's quite a few drops, visible drops in this whip, but they're all done very nicely. They're all what I call textbook drops, and it's rolled really smooth. So even though it has a drop, you can't, when I close my eyes and I run my hand down it, you really can't feel it. When I run my hand down this whip, I feel a drop right there. But beyond that, I don't feel any of the rest of the drops. But let me show you these up close if I can. Okay, so we have a drop right there, and then another couple inches down, there's another drop right there, and that's the only one I actually was able to feel, was this drop right here. It's a little unusual. Usually when I see drops done, they're all on the underside of the belly, or what would be the spine. But it looks like Giovanni drops wherever he thinks he needs a drop to keep the taper going. So these two drops, they're actually quite close together. They're on the side of the whip. And then he's got a drop right there. So there's another drop right there. So yeah, in a little 4-foot whip, and this is the overlay. Of course, you can't see the bellies, but by my eye and my count, there's 1, 2, 3. On the side here, 4, 5. 6 drops. I see 6 drops. Most of the whip makers I deal with seem to want to hide their drops. Giovanni is very transparent in his plaiting. It doesn't seem like it bothers him to show someone where the drop was. But what he does do that's absolutely excellent is once he's finished the whip, he rolls it. Takes the time to roll it, smooth as a baby's butt. So I'm going to throw this a little bit for you this morning. We're also going to, I'm going to compare it and let you see it against two other whips. These are whips I've been breaking in. I have a whip by Giovanni O Gren at Witchcraft Whips in Sweden. And I have a whip by Gorey at Smokey Mountain Whips in North Carolina. So if I just put these whips against, and this is right out of the box. I haven't had a chance to throw this or break this in. But if you compare Giovanni's whip with Gorey's whip, and I've been throwing Gorey's for about a year now. Okay, Gorey's whip has more Viagra coming out of the handle. It's already, it's got a stiffer profile coming out of the handle. And even though I've been throwing it a year, it's going to take a lot more work to get this whip worked into where I like it. Where Giovanni's whip coming right out of the box has less Viagra in it, and it's going to break in quicker for me. And he wrote me a note and said that he platted it to try to have the feel of a whip that had already been being thrown for 6 months to a year, because he knew I'm almost 70 years old and I don't have 4 years to break the whip in. So I'm sure if you ordered a whip from Giovanni and you're a younger fellow, you're going to get a whip that's quite a bit stiffer right out of the box than the profile on this whip. So when I compare Giovanni's whip to Giovanni O Gren's whip in Sweden, you know, now O Gren's is breaking in better than Gorey's did, and it's getting there real nicely, but it's still right out of the box. Giovanni's whip has less Viagra in it than Witchcraft. Okay, so I'm going to throw these three whips and let you see them. But let's start with throwing the new whip. And I will say, the only thing I find initially at fault, and it's not a fault, it's just the way Mr. Celeste makes his whip, his Turk's head's a little bit bigger. If you look at those Turk's heads, I'll put all three up here. We're comparing three whips. If you put the Turk's heads up from Giovanni, Giovanni O Gren, Gorey, you'll see that his Turk's head is quite a bit bigger than, so his heel nut's quite a bit bigger than the other two whips. The other two are almost exactly the same size. So this still fits nicely in my hand, but I have to admit it's a little bit bigger than what I am used to throwing. So I'm going to throw at the camera first and let you get a look at the rollout and the profile of this whip. Right out of the box, it's rolling out nicely. The forehand, of course, with the belly is much smoother than against the belly, but for a whip that's brand new, this whip is already achieving pretty good rollout against the belly. And I already lost my cracker. It's a brand new whip. Of course, sometimes with a new fall, I'll have to put a little nick in the leather so that it has something to take a bite on. But let's throw this cracker back on and continue with our video. This is the real time what you get with Dex's morning practice, okay? So I'm going to throw this a little bit more at the camera, okay? And I'm going to throw real quickly Gorey's whip at the camera so you can see. So actually I like Giovanni's already better on the backhand side. Gorey's whip's acting better on the forehand side, but I've been throwing it for a year. Giovanni O Gren's whip at Witchcraft Whips, and this whip to me, I'm going to keep throwing it, keep breaking it in, but this whip to me is broken into the point that I feel it's ready to go in the dungeon and be played with. So now I'm going to turn around and throw at the sheepskin. Let me clean the sheepskin up, take some of the marks off of it so you can hopefully see where this cracker's landing. And hopefully you'll be able to see coming over my shoulder what we've got here. So with a new whip, what I find with me is right there the forehand's connecting and the backhand isn't. I find the backhand on a new whip ends up being a little bit short. So what I do is I go to fourth position with my feet, where my left foot is ahead of my right foot, and on the backhand, if I lean forward and then rock back with that footwork motion and weight shift, I can take a brand new whip and get it to target both forehand and backhand. So here's a new whip right out of the box, and if I was willing to make an adjustment in the dungeon, I could take this tonight and I could play with it, even though it's not broken in and it's brand new, because I'm making this footwork adjustment. I've got the backhand coming off the forward foot, my left foot, and I'm rocking back for the forehand. So this whip is very accurate. It's going to break in nicely. If I was going to throw this whip for multiple songs over the course of a scene, I would find that the little bit larger Turk's head would probably tire my hand out. But with my style of play, I throw a whip for one song and then I set it down. And after I've set it down, I pick up another whip and throw for the next song. So this whip that I'm throwing now is Witchcraft Whips, Johnny O Gren, and you can just compare the rollout and the way this whip looks compared to Giovanni's whip. I'm not going to throw it long because the point of the video is for you to see Giovanni's new whip. This is Blake Gorey's whip out of Smokey Mountain, and I'm finding his whip honestly to be a little bit tip heavy and to be short on the backhand side. That extra little bit of Viagra is keeping this whip from breaking in against the spine to where it gets an adequate rollout to be able to target. So back to Giovanni's whip. This whip is going to break in. I expect to be using it at Southeast Leather Fest here in June and at Weekend of Wickedness in July. If you want to see this whip up close and personal, then catch up with me at either one of those events. This is morning practice. All the whips that I'm breaking in, I throw every morning for a few minutes, and I continue to do that as a daily routine until I have them all broken in. As always, thanks for watching Whips in the Dungeon.